This is the reason why airplanes don't have parachutes. Air travel is widely regarded as one of the safest modes of transportation in the world. With the rapid development of technology and infrastructure, air travel has become faster, more comfortable, and more accessible than ever before. However, one question that often comes up in our mind is why airplanes don't have parachutes for passengers in case of an emergency. After all, if someone goes wrong mid-air, a parachute could be the difference between life and death for the passengers and crew. There are a few reasons why airplanes don't have parachutes for passengers, and they all boil down to practicality and safety concerns. Number 1. Skills and training required. The idea of parachuting out of a plane during an emergency may seem like a straightforward solution, but it's actually quite complex. Parachuting requires a specific set of skills and training that the average passenger simply doesn't have. A freely floating parachute can speed up to 195 km per hour, which can be quite fatal. Parachute comes in different sizes, shapes, and designs, and each one requires specific knowledge and training to use effectively. Without proper training, a passenger using a parachute could easily end up injuring themselves or others on board. Number 2. Issue in deploying. Even if every passenger on the plane was trained in the use of parachutes, deploying them during an emergency would be incredibly difficult. In order to jump out of a plane safely, passengers would need to quickly and accurately assess the situation and jump out of the plane at the right time and altitude. This process would require coordination and communication between passengers and crew, which would be difficult to achieve in a high-stress emergency situation. Number 3. Dangers of parachuting out of a plane. Parachuting out of a plane during an emergency could potentially create even more danger for both passengers and those on the ground. If a plane is experiencing a mechanical failure or other issue mid-air, the pilot's top priority is to safely land the plane as quickly as possible. If the passenger started parachuting out of the plane, it could create a chaotic situation that could distract the pilot and make it even more difficult to land the plane safely. Additionally, parachutes can cause significant damage if they land in populated areas, potentially causing injury or even death. Number 4. Cost. Equipping airplanes with parachutes for every passenger would be incredibly expensive. Not only would airplanes need to purchase the parachutes themselves, but they would also need to provide extensive training for each passenger on how to use them. The added weight of the parachutes would also increase fuel costs, which could make air travel more expensive for everyone. Number 5. Space. Modern airplanes are designed with efficiency and comfort in mind. Adding parachutes for every passenger would take up valuable space that could be used for other amenities such as larger seats and more storage space for luggage. Number 6. Risk of misuse. Even if passengers were trained in the use of parachutes, there's always the risk that they could be misused or abused. For example, the passenger may panic and deploy their parachutes too early, causing it to become entangled in the plane's engine or other components. This could cause even more damage and danger to the passengers and crew. Number 7. Height and speed. Most commercial airplanes fly at high altitudes and speeds that would make deploying a parachute extremely challenging. In order for a parachute to be effective, it needs to be deployed at a certain altitude and speed, and failure to do so could result in injury or death. Additionally, the extreme cold and lack of oxygen at high altitudes could make it difficult for passengers to use their parachutes effectively. Number 8. Time constraints. In the event of an emergency, there may not be enough time for passengers to properly put on and deploy their parachutes. Depending on the nature of emergency, the pilot may need to make a rapid descent or maneuver the plane in a way that makes it impossible for passengers to safely jump out. Number 9. Legal liabilities. Allowing passengers to jump out of a plane with parachutes could expose airlines to legal liabilities in the event that something goes wrong. If a passengers become injured or cause damage to property or people on the ground, the airline could be held responsible. This could be a significant risk for airlines which are already subject to a variety of safety regulations and insurance requirements. Number 10. Psychological impact. The idea of needing to jump out of a plane with a parachute in an emergency situation could cause significant psychological distress for passengers. This could lead to panic, confusion, and other behaviors that could interfere with the safe operation of a plane. Number 11. Weight distribution. The addition of parachutes for every passenger would cause a significant shift in the weight distribution of the plane, which could affect its stability and balance. This could make a plane more difficult to control, especially during takeoff and landing. Number 12. Parachute safety. While parachutes may seem like a straightforward safety measure, they can also be dangerous if not used correctly. Deploying a parachute at the wrong altitude and speed could result in injury or death, and passengers would need to be properly trained in order to avoid accidents. Number 13. Emergency landing procedures. In the event of emergency landing, parachutes may not be the safest option for passengers. Depending on the terrain and weather conditions, a parachute landing could result in injury or death. Number 14. Passenger numbers. Commercial airplanes can carry hundreds of passengers, which could make it impractical and time-consuming to equip every passenger with a parachute. This could result in delays and other logistical challenges that would affect the safety and comfort of passengers. In conclusion, while the idea of parachutes on airplanes may seem like a logical solution to emergencies, it's simply not practical and safe. The cost, space requirement, complexity of parachuting, the difficulty of deploying them in a coordinated manner during an emergency, the potential danger they pose to both passengers and those on the ground, and safety features already built in all make the inclusion of parachutes unnecessary. Instead, airplanes and aircraft manufacturers focus on implementing and improving existing safety features to ensure the safety of passengers and crew in the unlikely event of an emergency. Hopefully in the future, some new technological revolution like the parachute attached to the whole plane may completely change the airplane structure. So if you find this video interesting, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and also watch these other interesting videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.